Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of the Curry World. Today's recipe is straight from one of my travel expeditions to Hong Kong. The ingredient combinations initially could give you a slight jolt, but trust me, the first morsel, and that is the beginning of your addiction to this curry. I'm talking about Hong Kong style fish balls. Let's begin. Hong Kong style fish balls. Well, the recipe itself says that it's going to be divided into two parts. The first one is the Hong Kong style sauce, and the second one are the fish balls. Let's begin with the first component, and that is making the Hong Kong style sauce, for which I'm going to cut red onions. Once the onions are cut nice and fine, we move on to the next step, and that is roughly crushing garlic and red chilies. In this case, chili bird's eye. Well, of course, the spice can be lowered or increased as per your personal liking and taste. I'm going for 5 of these. You can increase or decrease. Well, this is also done and ready. Let's move on to the next step, and that is the cooking step. Let's heat a wok on high flame and add in a tablespoon of vegetable oil. Once the oil heats up, I'm going to begin adding red onions, which are finely chopped. And to this, I'm immediately also going to add in the crushed chilies and garlic. Let's give this a quick stir. And now goes in the first ingredient that will actually raise your eyebrows: curry leaves. Remember what I said earlier? The combination of ingredients will initially give you a slight jolt. That's what I meant. A combination of bird's eye chili, curry leaves, soya sauce, coconut milk, salt, sugar, and a few Indian spices. Let's add in soy sauce. Let's move on to adding coconut milk. Well, you could of course take a combination of thick and thin milk together, because now this is also going to bubble up like a stew. Let's give this a quick stir. And time to add in some spices. Well, in the original recipe at this stage, you would add in Madras curry powder, but of course, I'm going to simplify it for you in case you do not have it with you. Let's add in coriander seed powder. Let's add in turmeric powder. Slightly more because we want that little orange color in the curry. And finally, last but not the least, red chili powder. Now this is just to accentuate the color of the curry. Remember, the spice would come in from the bird's eye chili. Let's give this a stir. Once the curry kind of opens up in terms of its flavor, we'll add in cornstarch. Now cornstarch of course needs to be mixed with water, and we need to convert it into a slurry. So here goes in the cornstarch. Let's give this a good mix and ensure that this mixture, this slurry, is lump free. Now here's a trick for you for your home kitchens. What you can do is you can also serve this like a gravy. Now the difference between a curry and a gravy is very simple. A gravy is thicker and a curry is lighter and it's thinner. Now at this stage, you just add in salt and sugar, and there you go with your gravy. But because we're making a curry, I'm going to add in the slurry, and immediately to this, I'm also going to add in water, sugar, because you want that little tinge of sweetness, and salt, of course, the quintessential salt, to bring out the flavor of all other ingredients. Let's give this curry a nice stir, and now we need to switch the burners so that we can start making the fish balls. Let's move this aside and keep this on a low flame, because we want this to slowly keep bubbling and boiling. And here comes the water for the fish balls. Now the fish balls of course need to be steamed or boiled. It's a very, very, very simple recipe. The only thing is you need to get good quality fresh fish, which is boneless and skinless. Now for this, of course, I'm going to use a grinding jar, and to this I'm going to add in boneless fish, which, like I said, is also skinless. Now there are some fish varieties which have a very prominent peculiar taste and flavor. Of course the color is going to be white and neutral and bland, To accentuate that flavor, I'm going to add in prawns. In this case, white prawns, which are of course shelled. Let's add in cornstarch to bring in that binding. To bring in that little more element of stickiness in this recipe, I'm going to add in egg whites, a touch of soy sauce. Dark or light again is a complete personal choice. Of course, if you want that little bit of a color in this recipe, you can add in of course dark soya. If you're only looking at flavor, light soya is your take. Some sea salt. Now I'm using crystals, by all means you can also use table salt. Well, using sea salt could be slightly tricky because salt of course needs that little bit of a gauging in the recipe. I'm adding in water so that the blending happens nice and fine. A touch of sugar. Now this really is not to sweeten the recipe, but just to bring out the flavor of every other ingredient in the recipe. And last but not the least, some oil. The fish has become nice and pasty, and that's exactly how we want it. The next step of course is to make these dumplings. I'll show you how, and cook them in the water that's getting boiled. Simple. Now in this case, there are a few thumb rules that need to be noted, especially while making fish balls or seafood balls or prawn balls, whatever you're making. The first thing is to ensure that the water in which you're going to boil the fish balls is boiling. When I say boiling, I mean roll boiling. The next one is the fish paste or the seafood paste, which has to be nice and fine and well flavored. The salt, the sugar, the herbs, everything needs to be absolutely perfect. You want to make a trial or a taste test, make a tiny little ball, fry it or boil it so that you know the taste eventually. And last but not the least is a bowl of chilled water, which is going to be used to dip your fingers. So let's dip our fingers in this water and take a lemon sized ball like so. I'm going to of course dip my other finger as well. You toss it up like so. Ensure that it's nice and even on all the sides, and this straight goes in boiling water. When you immediately add in the fish balls, now there are 2-3 things that you will notice here or you need to ensure. The first one is that the roll boil will suddenly start settling because the temperature will start dropping. The next step or the next important thumb rule here is to not stir it immediately because it'll end up breaking or splintering, and you do not want that to happen. Once the fish balls in a way attain its shape, you can start stirring this. Actually, it's not required as such, because if you see, it's become nice, soft and spongy, and that's exactly how we want the fish balls to be. Allow these to boil, like I said, precisely for a minute, and transfer these straight into the curry. If you see, the curry is also nicely boiling here, and that's exactly how we want it to be. It's got that nice shine, that glaze, that little bit of a thickness that's required for something like this. And finally, to adjust the consistency, I'm going to add in this water in which the fish balls have been bubbling away nicely. This in a way could also now be called the fish stock. It's of course lighter, it doesn't have that prominence and flavor, but it still has some. Let's give this a quick stir, and with this, your fish balls, Hong Kong style, are done and ready. Allow these to poach for 30-40 seconds in this curry now, and be ready to serve. With this, your Hong Kong style fish balls are done and ready. Now you can serve this with steamed noodles, a bowl of sticky rice. The choice is completely yours. Even something like fried rice would go perfectly well with something like this. Make this for your family, make this for your friends, and have fun. Garnish wise, if you ask me, you can garnish this with say some extra chilies, some curry leaves, some onions, some spring greens, some coriander. Choice is completely yours. This is me, the Bombay Chef, signing off. Make this and let me know how you like it.